views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome to Lyme Talk Radio with Dr. Pat Baccili. Epic healing for an epic life. This inspiring show highlights leading-edge solutions, groundbreaking research, headline topics, and tools for holistic healing and wellness. This hit show is dedicated to raising awareness, promoting advocacy and prevention, and supporting initiatives for optimal health. Dr. Pat is passionate and focused on life-saving results reaching far beyond Lyme disease, providing a forum for powerful stories, heart-opening experiences, and hope-activated solutions. Dr. Pat will shine a light on the many shades of Lyme disease, fueled by a body-mind-spirit remedy. Now here's your host, Dr. Pat.
Hey everybody, it's so great to be having all of you tune us in and turn us on. Thank you so very much. I'm so excited about today's show. You're tuning into Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat Baccili. I'm the host of Lyme Talk Radio as well as the Dr. Pat Show. And you're listening to us on Transformation Talk Radio. Today we've got a very important show. And, as you've heard us talk about before, we love to be able to share stories of what the journey's been like, help being on the way, health being really what's at risk. And most importantly, what are we learning about Lyme disease? How do our personal experiences help all of us understand that there is light at the end of the tunnel? That's why I decided to make sure that Lyme Talk Radio continues and thrives and grows. Today, we're thrilled to have the ultimate Lyme support system. David Larson will be joining us in a minute, but we have a very special guest, Denise Daw-Brown, joining us here today to talk about our personal experience in fighting Lyme disease. And most importantly, how does one come out at the other end of this? And what role did results RNA play in that journey? Denise, it's great to have you here. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Oh, it's very nice to be here, Dr. Pat. Thank you for having me.
I want to start out with kind of a question that probably you've been asked before, but it's one that I've certainly had to ask over and over again is, did you ever think in a million years that you'd be sitting here talking to me about this thing that we're calling Lyme disease?
Oh, Lord, no, especially not for as many years as I've been searching for this answer. It's taken me, sideways, realizing that this has been the root problem for all the things that have happened. My journey started when I was 8 years old, and I'm now 51. And I just got diagnosed February 2015. Even though the doctors had treated me back when I was 8 for Rocky Mountain spotted fever, which I nearly died from. And from then on, it just seemed like it was always some form of weird health issue that nobody seemed to have an answer for. And of course, me being a child, I just thought, okay, well, I can't eat that certain kind of food. That stuff doesn't agree with me. Or I don't know why I pass out when I get hot. All these weird things that you can't specifically pinpoint as one specific thing, but it became a building block. And now I see, as I look back on all these years, that all these things were the beginning of Lyme taking over my body, the parasites taking over me. And I didn't have any answers other than one doctor after another telling me, you're having anxiety, you're having panic attacks. And that's all they would attribute it to. And I'm just like, no, that's not it. I'm having panic and anxiety because I can't find the answer as to why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. I'm falling apart, and I'm too young for this. And I guess my major journey started exactly when I was 31, and that's when all the hormone issues really kicked in. And I started feeling some weirdness in my brain. I kept telling them, feels like there's something in my brain. and they just did some little blood work here, a little blood work there, and just told me that I was going through premature ovarian failure. And I was 31. And I was going, I'm not sure I feel that. That's not what I'm feeling. I'd had ultrasounds. I had everything looked at. Everything was cool. I was not having cycles anymore at 31. And I had always had them regularly. I did have severe cramps and all that stuff, which turned out to be endometriosis and all these things that I now know are attributed to Lyme disease.
Yeah.
And so eventually it just comes down to one thing after another. Doctors telling me that I'm having all these panic attacks just because, I'm out of control and I'm getting older and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And
I love that story, by the way. I love that one where that, that they give you the real one that I really love nowadays is this idea about, well, you aren't as young as you used to be, but geez, what are we talking about? You're in your 30s and, you're having a conversation with the doctor that says, well, wait a minute, you might be going through the change. At some point, they even test you for HIV, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they tested me for every single thing. And the crazy part for me is that their blood work has never, their scale, their range, the ratios, and all have never changed. But yet they still cannot pinpoint what causes this and what causes that. My personal opinion, it's Lyme disease. That's the root problem. If you would adjust your ranges and take each person as an individual, then you would see that if you attack this problem, that everything else will clear up. And we're dealing with parasites here. They're taking us over. They're invaders.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I'm so tickled about your product, because I am on a search and a journey on my own, because the medical field has totally let me down, and everybody else that has Lyme disease, to be denied that you even have an illness that literally is eating you from the inside out. I call it my I say I'm a galaxy for all of their little condominiums, and it's like all these different parasites have set up household inside me, and I'm their host. And I'm like, this is crazy, because that's what's really happening. And I'm ending up being the only person who's being able to figure these things out with the help of you guys, because you seem to be the only ones who seem to have an idea of what's actually going on here, that we need to give our bodies the support to fight these things that are trying to kill us, and give us the support to do what our bodies are made to do. I mean, God did not create us to fall apart.
No.
He created us to survive and thrive. And I think that's what your product helps get us back to. Get through some of the toxic stuff that is left behind, and gives us our bodies the opportunity to do what He set us up to do, and that is survive.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question, because this is really, I've heard this story, but not quite the way that you're sharing it. This is a long period of time, right? And, at least in some of the states that we're talking about, Lyme disease and even chronic Lyme disease is being recognized.
Finally.
But finally. But I'm going to tell you, like in the state of Washington, for example, where I live, the state of Washington will not recognize chronic Lyme. You can go to their health services website, and they're really clear about it. And what's fascinating about this, and I know you've had to bang your head up against the wall a little bit, is this notion that somehow these ticks know how not to cross a state line. Don't you find that kind of fascinating?
Well, I find it fascinating in the fact that they think that they don't get on birds and that deer don't cross state lines. I mean, they come across state lines when people go hunt them and bring them across state lines, even if they don't cross them. They get on people. I mean, it's like, seriously, the common sense factor has left the building. I'm like, there's no way that even makes sense to me. For medical community to be that shallow in that thought is mind-boggling. Even with a Lyme brain, I'm going, okay, that really makes no sense. And I know that I was 43 years ago dealing with the situation. So I can imagine with the influx of so much more growth in our world in general, you know, then if there's more animals and there's a proliferation of more ticks, there's a proliferation now of anything that's a biting, blood-sucking thing. I mean, you know, it's being passed, as far as I'm concerned, by more than just ticks. And not only that, they don't test their blood in the blood transfusions and all that. They don't test those for parasites.
No.
And
Not only and not even if they did, they don't even have the right test. I mean,
No, they don't.
How did you finally get to this place? Because, you know, I know that many have gone the route of take the test that the CDC gives, and you take the test and it says there's nothing wrong with you. As a matter of fact, I have a friend in New Jersey that just went through this, and I said, please don't take that test. Go get this other test. Go even try the IGeneX test, you know. But then you think about it, right? And you're like, well, wait a minute. There isn't a doctor where I live that knows how to do this. How did you connect all these dots?
Well, and it is exactly that. It's connecting dots, putting puzzle pieces together, and that's been my lifelong thing. I feel like when I stand before God, I'm going to go, what was that all about? You know, I literally have had so many hormone problems that I was going to my bioidentical hormone doctor, and I kept telling her, man, something is very, very wrong. There's stuff wrong. And I was having all this rage. And I said, it's just uncontrollable rage. I said, there's something not right in me, and I'm telling you, we need to figure this out. And she said to me, I want you to go to the Amen Clinic and get your brain scanned. And so that's what I did. I made an appointment. I went to the Amen Clinic in Atlanta, and they did a brain scan. And they told me, which I suffered post-traumatic stress syndrome way back in 95 when I experienced an exploding airplane. So post-traumatic stress shows up in my brain scan and all this stuff. And then there were some what they called brain damage, brain injury.
Yeah.
And I knew of one they showed in the back of my head that I had fallen off my horse and I had a concussion, but there was one right in the top of my head, which is why I went to that first doctor, because I kept feeling this trickling in the top of my head. It just like a energy just trickling in the center of my brain. And suddenly they show me this hole that is in my brain. And they said, you've had damage right there.
Oh.
You had trauma. And I went, no, I have not. And they go, yeah, you have. And I said, no, I think I'd know if that got knocked into my head. And then I came home after we had this long discussion, and I was supposed to go back for follow-ups and all this stuff. But when I came home, strangely enough, I love to, you know, be on that search that I've always been on. Of course, I watch monsters inside me on television.
Yeah.
And I was looking at that television, and suddenly they popped up this brain that looked just like mine. And I went, oh, my gosh. I said, that's a parasite, and they need to test me for Lyme disease. Because I knew I had Rocky Mountain spotted fever. I had told all doctors I've ever been to, please test me for parasites. Please test me for tick-borne disease. Please test me. Nobody would ever do it. But when I went back to the Amen Clinic, I said to them, listen, this is what I saw. Test me for Lyme disease, please. And they were open to it, and they actually set me up with a doctor in California. His name is Dr. Mark Philaday. And so he orders the test through IGeneX, like you said, and Western blot was what it was, as well as the ELISA test. And lo and behold, they call me and say, you are double positive for Lyme disease with 5 strains. And,
wow.
Yeah, and they go, you're a very sick person. I went, you think?
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, I've been kind of trying to tell people there's something very wrong here. And so from that point, I didn't really have the money to go to California to be treated by him. So I got on the journey by myself once again. And because I couldn't go to him, of course, he's not treating me. And so I just started looking, and I started online because I started deteriorating that much more, like to the point where I had absolutely no ability to think. I couldn't form sentences. Things didn't make sense to me. My legs didn't feel right. When I knew they were pointing in one direction, they felt like they were pointing in another. Things were not right. And then I got to where I couldn't even lift my head off of a pillow. I was just so exhausted. It just took everything in me to have a thought. And I was going, I'm dying. This is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm falling apart. I'm dying. I'm crying all the time. And of course I'm attributing everything back to my hormones are jacked up. You know, I don't realize the complexity of Lyme disease just yet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then as I went on looking at everything suddenly, and I believe all this is God, that I've actually come in contact with you.
Yeah.
Because I'm on Facebook, of course, because for sick people, chronically ill people, that becomes their outlet. And that's their only touch to the real world when you can't get out of your house. And your product popped up just off in the side. And I looked at that and I went, oh my, because here I am now looking for something to help me. And I hit your thing and I saw your video and all this stuff. And I went, I'm so trying that.
Don't you think? I mean, isn't it really what you're talking about? Because, I mean, this has got to be, you know, one of the best kept secrets on the planet. That's why it's so important for us to get the word out, because not everybody was like you and has your grit and determination. But you're right about God, though, right? I mean, somehow you get pointed in a direction and say, I've got to try this. And I don't know what it's going to take, but you and I can present a message to say to people, you don't have to get that bad. You don't have to go down the path and have it so your brain is deteriorating. There is a solution. What was it like for you then when you started to take the product? Because, I mean, isn't it easy to just buy? And the cost of it is so absolutely amazing.
So affordable that when I have told other people about it, because I mean, I would hear people, my friends, on Facebook, they are I'm in groups, you know, I'm in groups of chronically ill people because that's who we relate to.
Right.
And so friends that I talked to, one of them's out in California, and she kept telling me I have fibromyalgia, and I go, as soon as she said it, I went, oh Lord. And I said, I'm a believing you got some Lyme disease, my lady. And she's like, no. I said, no, I'm thinking you got some Lyme disease, and I want you to try this product. And I kept telling her, please go there, and I told them your website, resultsrna.com, and get this. And I said, please go. You'll be glad you tried it. She's in excruciating pain. And she just is, and she's got a 3-year-old, and she's struggling. And I'm just like, you really need to try this. I'm promising you, and thinking that this is going to help you. I feel like it's going to help you. She just said, well, I've got this, that, and the other thing going. I said, fine, I'm going to send you some. So I ordered some for her.
Yes.
And I sent it to her. 2 months in a row, I sent it to her. I said, you tried this. Well, the first month, she was afraid to use as many as I told her, you know, the 12 initially twice a day. She goes, I don't want to use it all up. And I went, honey, use what you're supposed to. I will send you some more.
Exactly.
And so she did. And she told me, she says, I can't believe it. She goes, I'm up. She goes, I actually have to tell myself to sit down and quit doing things. And that's kind of what happened to me. I literally had lost any desire to live. I didn't even want to live. Right. I didn't want to thrive or anything. I just was like, this is it. I'm done. This is not living. This is being. There's not even an existence in this that I'm feeling. And so whenever I was feeling so much better, I mean, I literally had just started taking it. I think it was like a day or so after I started taking it. It's like I woke up, which this never happens. I woke up and sat up in the bed, feet hit the floor, which again never happens because I have hypothyroidism from the Lyme disease. And that kind of keeps me in a hypothermic state until later in the day, it seems. And so I was just like hibernation mode, you know, before this. And suddenly I'm like, boom, my feet hit the floor, and I just took off and started cleaning. Now, let me just say, that's an unusual thing for me. And I got up and started doing all these things, and I started from as soon as my feet hit the floor, and I went all day long cleaning, and I was like blown away by it. Because first off, I had not had that energy in years and years and years. And second off, I had not even the first bit of desire to do that because just thinking was a big deal. So that just shows you that immediately my body responded to what is in your product. I don't know the whole get up about it, but I do know that it has helped me tremendously, and I give it the credit that has got me out of the bed. And I was in the bed every single day. I would say for the last year, I was in the bed and unable to get up.
Well, I mean, I want to go back to something you said, and I know this time just goes so quickly, but I do want to go back to something you said because you see, you're showing up here and you do not sound like the person that has parts of their brains missing
Yeah,
or brain fog or anything else.
not
I
today.
would love for you to talk a little bit because I love that your friend shared that within a relatively short period of time, she started to see the change. And by the way, she was not a believer.
She
So
wasn't.
she was somebody that's like, well, yeah, okay, if you bought it for me, I'm gonna take it, but
Yes.
then what?
And
Um,
then, yeah, she did. And then she also shared with everybody else, as I do. I'm like, look, I'm not earning anything from this. I'm not somebody who sells this because unfortunately that's what Lyme disease people run into, or anybody who's chronically ill. Suddenly, here, I've got this thing that'll fix you, but I'm selling it to you. That's not what I did. And that's why I told her, I said, I don't have anything to gain from this other than you getting well. And I'm happy to share this with you because I know that it's hard to find something that works, and this works. And that's what I told her. I said, I'm telling you, this is not a dead-end street. This is not get your hopes up, and it's going to let you down. This is going to work, and it's going to help you. Is it going to make you 100%? Hope so down the road, but at first, it's going to give you what you need to get up and go, and that's what we haven't had. And so she shared it also on our private site, but there's people there. And she took a picture of it and everything, and she shared it, and she said, look, everybody needs to get this. And everywhere I go, if somebody's talking about Lyme on any site, I go, this is what you need to try. Get this immediately. And because I know that it works. It's helped me so much. I literally just wanted to die because who wants to sit in the bed and not do anything? Who wants to just lay and stare into space and not be able to even be a part of life? You know, I'm not 100%. I've been taking it I think I just got my new product today. Actually, just went out right before you called me. I got it in the mail. And I just took my sprays today. And so that makes my 5th month that I'll be starting on it.
5th month. So what you did, let me make sure I'm hearing you right. So this is your 5th month, like 5. And I have to tell you, you know stories and I know stories and I know my own story about you. Most people that have been on this journey, and I know this is, part of what you shared as well, they have gone through their life savings. They have had to sell their homes because some of the treatments that they've been getting out there have cost so much. But what you and I are talking about, that you, Denise, the person I'm talking to right now today, was not this person 5 months ago. Is that what I just heard you say?
Yeah, that's absolutely what I wouldn't be able to have this conversation with you. I would not have been able to form a sentence. No, I would not be having this conversation with you. If I could have typed it, it might take me a while to type something out. Sure, we could have a conversation that way, but not in forming a conversation that you're going to be able to understand. I'd be all over the place. I still was a little concerned about that because I still have some of those days.
Today ain't one of them.
Today is not one of them.
No,
You're right.
Today is not one of them.
Today's a clarity. You got that right. And I'm thankful for it. And it's just like I was telling Justin earlier, the weather makes a difference as well.
Yeah.
As far as a Lyme patient goes. So on some days, people may have a little bit of an effect. It's not because this stuff's not working. It's because these parasites are affected by moon phases and by weather and by seasons and all that, because they're a parasite. They're cyclic, and they live in a cycle. So they mate on full moons. And I mean, I'm learning all this stuff, and no wonder when it was a full moon, I felt like a nutcase because these things were doing some crazy stuff in my head. And
I want to go back to something you said because I don't want it to be missed. Right now, one of the other mystery situations and diseases we have on the planet has to do with the thyroid. There are so many people that are getting biopsies, that are getting nodules, that are getting, you name it. And at the end of the game, are being treated by very high potency steroids or other things. And yet at the same time, everybody points to the thyroid and say, we really can't find anything. How many times have you heard that? Is that what they told you about your thyroid? We really can't find anything? What was that like?
Absolutely. And yes, I do have hypothyroidism. And as of probably before I started taking your spray, I went to my doctor and I told her there's something on my thyroid. I feel it. I know there's something there. I need an ultrasound. And she said, okay. So she sent me, and there is a growth on my thyroid. I said, it's on the left side, isn't it? And she goes, yes. I said, I told you something's there. And so I can see it now. It's some form of a cyst or something. I'm supposed to go get it looked at. But I'm with you. This Lyme disease stuff affects the thyroid. And if we can get the Lyme disease under control, then the body can repair itself, I'm hopeful for. And that's what I think your product does.
Well, I love this, and I want to thank you, though, for being able to come on here and talk about this, and we're going to really stay connected with you so that we're making sure we're following this story. Well, you know what? Let's save lives together.
Absolutely. I'm up for it.
All right. Thank you so very much for your time, everybody. And you're going to hear much more about Denise, about the journey. And know this, as I said before, the woman that you're hearing right here, she knows it. I know it. If you'd have met her 6 months ago, you probably wouldn't have met this version of Denise. Right, Denise?
You would not. You would not. What I said was, I'm a shell. This is a shell of a person.
Wow. All right, everybody. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
If you're one of the millions of Americans suffering from anxiety, you probably know how powerless and out of control this emotion can make you feel. This is why it is so important to remember that anxiety is created by your mind, which means that you can learn to use your mind to uncreate it. Hello, my name is Dr. Friedman Schaub. My award-winning book, The Fear and Anxiety Solution, provides you with a step-by-step breakthrough process to understand and resolve the root causes of your anxiety and build a solid foundation of confidence and inner peace. If you're ready to take your power back, visit thefearandanxietysolution.com.
Order your copy of Dr. Friedemann Schaub's The Fear and Anxiety Solution today. Visit thefearandanxietysolution.com for more information.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Baccili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
Tune in to Sheer Alchemy with Leslie Fontaine on TransformationTalkRadio.com and get ready to stir up your passions, remove your blocks, and shift into an entirely new existence. Speaker, teacher, channel, clairvoyant, Leslie Fontaine is a transformation catalyst who channels a powerful energy from source to catapult listeners into living the life they were born to live. Whether it's shifting from scarcity to abundance, from emotional pain into joy, or from illness into health, Leslie will help you step into the true essence and power of all that you are with the help of the Ascended Masters and Archangels. You will not be the same. Visit TransformationTalkRadio.com for show dates and times and LeslieFontaine.com to say yes to explosive abundance.
Hey, everybody. It is so great to be tuning in and catching up with all of you. I know you are all moved. I know you were seriously moved, by the conversation. And I am so thrilled that David Larson is joining us here, president, founder of Results RNA. And you know what? He's going to tell you about what all this means. But the thing that I think that you all know right now about what this means, it means the difference between not being well and wellness. And that's what you're hearing on the show today. And now, what do we know about this? And what do we know about the science of it? How do we get that ultimate Lyme support into our system so that you will be able to experience this for yourself, just like Denise? David, it's great to have you here. Boy, I'm telling you, what a story. But I guess you hear stories like Denise's all the time. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pat. It's a pleasure to be back. I really appreciate it. And yes, Denise is absolutely fabulous, an amazing person. And when I heard her story for the first time, of course, it reminds me as to why it is we've been doing what we do for so long and been researching, for so many years to find solutions to very difficult health problems such as Lyme disease, that are plaguing so many people today.
Let's talk about this, the status of things since we last talked. One of the things that I want to talk with you about, and I know you've heard me say this before, here on Lyme Talk Radio, and of course, A Better World crowdfunding and some of the other things we're doing, we've made it pretty clear and, taken a little grief for this a little bit, not a lot, about the fact that what we're saying is when we launch our crowdfunding initiative here for Lyme disease, it is about putting the solution in people's hands. We're not the body of people that want to go out and do the research. There are a lot of people like that, but we want to put the product in the hands of the people, just like we just heard from Denise. We want to be able to say, wait a minute, there is a system that people are having phenomenal results with. If you go to Results RNA and you look at the Ultimate Lyme Support System, you're going to find science, you're going to find stories, you're going to find hope, and you're going to find results. And I wanted to ask you about this. Denise was one story, but we're now starting to hear more and more stories. You're hearing from people every day. Tell us what this is starting to sound like and feel like for you all there.
Well, it's absolutely incredible that our products can provide really exceptional and evidence-based, science-based results to people suffering from Lyme disease. We began really pursuing Lyme disease when we started hearing from people with regard to our ACS 200, our advanced cellular silver, that they were achieving significant benefit with that product. And so not to just take that at face value, but to understand why, we went to Dr. Richard Robison at a major Western university and asked if he's the head of a major microbiological department of the university, one of the top microbiologists in the world. And we said, we would like you to test ACS 200 against Borrelia burgdorferi. Now, Borrelia burgdorferi, as most of us know, is really the principal etiological agent, or the disease-causing agent that's been identified as causing the symptoms of Lyme disease. This is a very difficult to kill bacteria/spirochete. And Dr. Robison, as he always does, took this very seriously and actually went to the chief assistant of Dr. Willy Burgdorfer, who really was the first scientist to discover this bacterium as associated with Lyme disease. And from Dr. Willy Burgdorfer's assistant, we garnered all of his testing protocols. And over a year's time, the university was able to really procure Borrelia burgdorferi. Again, very difficult to do. grow the organism and then test the organism. So it was a very long, sophisticated process to substantiate that ACS 200 is, in fact, very effective and far more effective in vitro than antibiotics in killing Borrelia burgdorferi. So that's just some of the science as to why just one of the sprays contained in the Ultimate Lyme Support System is helping so many people in such big ways.
But isn't it really sort of the world that we're living now, where we're actually able to have a dialogue about what it is that's actually working and what the science is and what the research is? Because, it may have taken decades to get here, David, but we are here. And, while some of us may understand, from a common sense, I think Denise said this, she was like, wow, from a common sense point of view, you got to be kidding. I mean, this is like a no-brainer. But you also have to step out, because it's not all about common sense. And you have to step out and really look at the sciences and say, what can we bring new to the forefront? And that's an act of courage to be able to do that, right, David? Because you're stepping out there and saying, wait a minute, let's add the science, right, to the sense, and let's see what we get. Isn't this really talking about a breakthrough of unprecedented proportions, especially in the Lyme community? Because you cannot get a treatment or a system like that is going to provide people with the kind of support, if at all, especially something that's in their price range, their budget. We're talking about people that have sold their homes, that have spent their life savings. This has been the legacy of this disease. Do you see what I'm saying, David?
I do, absolutely. And again, Lyme disease, as is so many health conditions, is very sophisticated in all of the elements as to the cause. Many, many causes that comprehensively end up with so many symptoms of Lyme disease. And so the simple answer is the Ultimate Lyme Support System is able to address the pathogen burden, the toxin burden, restore glutathione levels, and address neurological issues supporting the neurological system as associated with Lyme disease. There will never be, in my opinion, a simple pill, a magic pill that someone can take that will cure or treat this disease, or really any other disease, because conditions such as this, again, are very sophisticated. And so we looked at this to get a little bit deeper into the science. What's key to understand is the relationship between pathogens, disease-causing organisms such as Borrelia burgdorferi, and toxins. Most Lyme disease sufferers who have done their research have heard the term Herxheimer reaction. So when I take a product that helps kill microorganisms, I get a Herxheimer reaction. Well, that reaction is caused when these disease-causing organisms, not just from their dying, but that these organisms have biofilms, which they have created, that contain toxins, toxic heavy metals, chemical toxins, all kinds of things that these organisms within the host, being the person, these organisms use to protect themselves from the immune cells. So, for example, mercury, highly toxic, and yet it is ubiquitous in our environment, is lethal to your immune cells. So when someone says toxicity causes immunodeficiency, this is why. The more mercury you bring on board and bioaccumulate, breathing in the air, eating food, fish, and so on, the more immune cells die in the presence of mercury. Now, unfortunately, pathogens have learned that they can bind toxins such as mercury and use them to defend their colony against immune cells. So, if we bring on an antimicrobial, an antibiotic, and are successfully killing Borrelia burgdorferi in the body and releasing toxins such as mercury back into the body, then essentially we've only partly solved the problem. and the circle starts all over again, because we still have the mercury. The Borrelia come right back again because the mercury is still harming the immune system. So comprehensively, to address toxins and pathogens, which is very much needed, we need to remove the toxins, detoxify the cells. At the same time, we are killing microorganisms.
And you know, this is really what we're talking about. I mean, I'm just sitting here listening to you talk about this. And one of the things that I want to really be clear about in the conversation of this is you're talking about putting a system together that literally is doing this. And I think that's what's important to make sure we let folks know, because most of the people that have gone down the path of trying to figure out a solution, a cure, how to be well, have not been able to comprehend while it might be sophisticated at some level, the simplicity of the treatment. And I wish you would talk about that, because Denise did. You know, she kept referring to the spray. You know, sure. And I think we should talk about that, because if people don't know exactly what we're talking about and have spent days and days and hours in a room with an IV doing all sorts of treatment, they probably are not going to quite understand the impact of what Denise's story was. So I'd love for you to talk about that.
I will, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so our technology is based on providing nutrients in a liquid solution. So instead of hard to take capsules or pills, no IVs, no blood draws, no sophisticated medicines. In simple to take sprays that actually taste pretty good, very simple to take, 6 or 12 sprays twice daily of each of the 4 products contained in the Ultimate Lyme Support System. Swish, swallow, you move on your way. You can literally take all 4 products, all 4 sprays in the Ultimate Lyme Support System in 15 seconds. Personally, I simply leave my sprays on my bathroom counter. I brush my teeth and I take my sprays morning and night. It's just become habit, but very, very simple to take. So that's why patients love them, because they're simple to take. Doctors who recommend them love them because compliance is very, very high. People can easily take sprays, and it's actually a far more sophisticated and viable technology for really administering nutrients into the body than a pill or a capsule that, when it goes into the stomach, it can oftentimes be destroyed, most of the nutrients, by the stomach acid.
You know, I have to tell you what I love about this, and it's just so important for us to make sure that I'm stopping at a minute here. And I want to just tell everybody, go to the website resultsrna.com. Resultsrna.com. And so many of you have emailed us and said, oh my gosh, we're seeing the banners on your site. We're seeing the website banners. Is that it? Yes, it is. Just click on there. We're not concerned about how you buy it. Just please go and click on there, and you'll get to the place that you need to be. So if you're seeing, you know, the images of what Dave and I are talking about, that is it. You know, either way, you want to get to the website, because first of all, you're going to be able to see what people are saying. We just had Denise on the show here not too long ago. You're going to see what she says, but there are so many stories. And you're going to be hearing a story from me personally shortly. But the point really is, David, is, you know, once folks get here and can understand it and see, yeah, it really is that simple, then the next step is, how do I get started? And isn't this fascinating, though, that you and I are here talking about it so that folks understand how easy you've made this for people to not just buy, but to take. That's really the difference. That's where people are mind boggled. I got a text from somebody that said to me, can you please, you know, talk about this next show? Is it really that easy? And the answer is, yeah.
It really is. Again, the technology, the science, the evidence behind these formulas goes back many decades.
Yep.
But as to a patient, a person who wants to take the products That's the simplest part. They
Right.
are what we call intraoral sprays. Simply spray them in your mouth, 6 or 12 sprays each, swish, swallow, and you're done. And you can move on to your day.
You know, one of the things that I wanted people to talk about, to know about, is when they go to the website resultsrna.com, you know, you can look at the stories there, but also there is a PDF that you could download. One of you have emailed me and said that it is really a blessing that, David, that you have this information, because what they've done is they've literally downloaded the information and have given it to family members. And I think that's really part of this, is being able to know enough about this, enough about what's going on to help people. What do you think, from what you've seen, how would you describe the changes that you're seeing in people? Because you get to talk with people early on in the stages of things, and then something changes. I mean, I was talking to Denise, and I said to her, I asked her this question, David. I said, Denise, so are you saying that 5 months ago, the woman that would have shown up on this show basically wouldn't have been able to put a sentence or two together? She said, not even close, right? I mean, this is what she was saying. And I was really so thrilled that she talked about the time span of this. Do you ever get surprised about this?
I do. And I'm able to talk to a few people, when they're sick. But most of them, call and speak with some of our sales representatives, or they simply order online, which is also very, very simple. Yeah. And I really don't hear from them until they send a Facebook post or an email raving about the products. And of course, that makes us all very happy. Yeah. But the changes that can occur quite quickly. Now, obviously, the best products on the planet, and we think we have significant technology, cannot turn around chronic Lyme disease in 3 days. No. But, the changes that can occur within a few weeks or a few months of taking the Ultimate Lyme Support System, to your point, can be very dramatic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, she shared some details, not just about her own journey, David, but she shared some details about, she bought this for a friend of hers. And I'm hoping we're going to be able to get them both on here. And, the person that she actually bought it for was kind of like, really, is this going to work? I mean, I've been through everything. And what's happened now in talking about this is we're now hearing stories that in like 2 to 3 weeks after 20 and 30 years of suffering, people are able to get up. People actually have energy. People are feeling better. And, those stories coming from people, this is not something that you can make up. This is not science fiction. And so I'm interested to hear from you a bit about, what have some of the other things you've heard from people? Today we focused, quite a bit about brain fog and what was going on in Denise's brain. But people are using this and coming from all sorts of places, right?
They really are. And the most drastic, of course, are the people who are so sick that they can barely get out of bed. And it's heartbreaking to read stories of people who talk about only being able to barely crawl to the bathroom. That's, it's such a state and of suffering. And we really wish no one had to go through this. But to hear from those people that within a few weeks, and it is actually somewhat surprising to find out that within a few weeks, they're back on their feet and they're leaving the house, they're shopping, they're running errands, and have more energy than they have in decades. And it's surprising, and at the same time, we would expect it based on the action of the products within the body.
What do you think, David? Because Denise and I talked about this a bit. And again, I want to just tell everybody, you can go ahead and find more about this. Just go right to the website, which is really incredible. It's filled with lots and lots of information. You can go to resultsrna.com resultsrna.com, and you're going to see lots of information here. There are other products here for other things as well, but you want to look for Ultimate Lyme Support System. And if you go ahead and do that, you'll be able to see what's there and be able to find out more about it. One of the things that I absolutely love about this is that the stories keep coming in. As the word gets out, the stories keep coming in. What is it that, excites you most about what you're seeing, and what are some of the challenges we have to overcome?
Obviously, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
But we tend not to dwell on just the success because we want to help, we really want to help everyone. Lyme is spreading so rapidly and needlessly that it's a very serious problem that everyone within the Lyme community, I think, understands, and yet they don't really understand. And so we're hoping actually to be able to provide a solution that is simple for everyone to take, is also, I'm losing my voice, Dr. Pat. You're probably
That's okay. I can jump in for you. I didn't want to be a radio hog here. But I think between what Denise and I were talking about, we're just literally, we're just shutting the doors down. I mean, I was in awe about this because it is through, we leave it up to you all to do the science. We leave it up to you, to put the product together. And I think our job is going to be to tell the story. It's going to be able to have a new narrative about Lyme disease. And, what that really does require, at least what I've seen so far, because, I have a little experience here, is that wellness. The conversation can become about wellness. If you were to listen to her, her talk about this, and the excitement and the vibration and the joy in her voice, and how she's buying it for her mom, and she wants to get it, she and I are both on the same mission. How do we get it in stores? I'm actually going to be talking to a doctor in Manhattan here about it. What are we doing to get the word out? What happens when we talk to people about this, David, and we have them, real life people that have gone through this, talk to some of these folks, there's a door that opens. And that's hopefully what we're going to do, is we're going to say, listen, do you have an open mind? Because we're ready to help you open your heart. And, look at what's happening. Look at how people are getting relief. Not people that are getting paid to endorse a product. That's not what's happening here at all. It's about how do we bring people on to make sure that what the message is about is their story, lives being saved, how this all works. And I love that you and I get to follow up with this after hearing not just Denise talk about this is what my journey, but now to hear her passion about getting the word out. And she is so clear. If you need me to come back, if you want me to share what happens in my next test, if you want, people that are sick can't do that, David. People that have Lyme disease do not have that energy.
Right.
They don't.
And I tell you what, one thing that has been so amazing to see, to read, to see, to hear is how tightly knit the Lyme community is. These people are sick and suffering, but they have, a lot of them, people around them who are cheering for them. They also cheer for each other. So the online community, whether it's Facebook or Twitter and so on, is massive. There's such a feeling of community support. And so what is amazing is that people like Denise, when they find something that helps them, like the Ultimate Lyme Support System, and others have found the Ultimate Lyme Support System and have achieved true benefit and are really on the recovery path towards health, are so willing now in their new state of having energy and vivaciousness and getting their lives back. They're so willing in a sense of charity, not to run off and live their lives, but to circle back and really try to help others. And it's truly amazing to see.
Oh, man. David, thank you so much for today. And I know you probably losing your voice because you're out there talking so much about it and, doing the good work, planting the seeds, treading out into the pathway and opening the doors for so many people to be well. Thank you so much for your time today. We will be speaking again. One last question. What's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with?
There is hope that products do exist that are truly helping people, that these advocates that you've heard from are not getting paid, that they are people that have been helped by the Ultimate Lyme support system. And regardless of how many products you've tried, how many systems you've tried, how many doctors you've seen, we would implore you to try the Ultimate Lyme support system because we think you're going to find it's different. We think you're going to find it very beneficial.
I love it. David, thank you so much. And I want to just make sure everybody knows, go ahead, check it out. Lots of information. You can find out for yourself, download the information that's there. Is information about the results and much more. You can go to resultsrna.com. That's resultsrna.com. Thanks for tuning in to Lyme Talk Radio and the Dr. Pat Show. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Lyme Talk Radio with Dr. Pat Baccili, Epic Healing for an Epic Life. This inspiring show highlights leading-edge solutions, groundbreaking research, headline topics, and tools for holistic healing and wellness. This hit show is dedicated to raising awareness, promoting advocacy and prevention, and supporting initiatives for optimal health. Dr. Pat is passionate and focused on life-saving results reaching far beyond Lyme disease, providing a forum for powerful stories, heart-opening experiences, and hope-activated solutions. Dr. Pat will shine a light on the many shades of Lyme disease, fueled by a body-mind-spirit remedy. For more information, visit LymeTalkRadio.com and tune in next time.